Welcome to another great episode of The Local Connection with the Givlin Gals. We have the pleasure of having Heather Andrews from Get You Visible joining us today, and she's going to help us see that we are the author of our own story. Let's see you there. Welcome to The Local Connection with the Givlin Gals, where we unravel the secrets of successful marketing with passion and purpose. I'm Jen, your guide through the dynamic world of business strategies. So welcome back to The Local Connection with the Givlin Gals. We just finished up with Lisa McGrath from LPM Projects. She was helping us maximize our capital reserve for success with our projects. I think I also have a story somewhere inside me that I need to tell, and thank goodness I have Heather Andrews with me today, who can maybe help me figure out how to say it and not have me do a squirrel moment constantly.
Absolutely. So Heather, thank you so much for being here with us. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do with Get You Visible Publishing and your epiphany moment, how that came to be, really?
Perfect. Thank you. Love being here with you guys always. And the videography team, they're awesome. You know, it's one of those things where a life crisis happens, you get laid off from your job, and what happens? Well, I decided that I wasn't going to work full time ever again. And I've actually held that point true. I went to a networking event back in 2016, and a lady that I met there by the name of Deanne Randrow, she basically said, Heather, you have an amazing story. She came out of healthcare. I came out of healthcare management, had worked for the same company for 13 years. And as a healthcare provider working full-time globally, I knew how to collect stories, and I'd heard many of them, and I was a trusted ear for many when people were down and out. And when I was asked to write in a book about women in business, because I had a business early on in my 30s when my kids were little, it seemed like the natural trajectory. And I thought, I can do this, and I did. So how that all came to be was I wrote a chapter in a book which was life-changing, and it went #1 on Amazon. And back in 9 years ago, there wasn't all the platforms that there is today, and self-publishing was a bit of a challenge. And I went through this lady's mentorship program, and I learned her system, and I implemented it for myself. And when I became a #1 best-selling author on Amazon that day, along with I think 14 other women, she offered me a position in her academy to learn how to publish. So I took that system and I made it my own. Then people started asking me, how do I publish this book? How do I get my story out there? How do I get on stages to speak my story to help inspire others? And the first book I did was called Obstacles Equal Opportunities, and it changed lives. It changed many people's lives because I brought 23 people together, and it went #1. So then at this point, I'm #2 best-selling, #1 bestsellers. And then my Get You Visible was born. And to date, we've done over 350 author stories and books, and just really help them get into that power of their own story. And when people share their story, whether it be through a chapter or a solo book, a community is built. They walk a little differently, their shoulders are back, and it's a cathartic experience because it's like you're releasing this story of inspiration and how you manage to walk through it. And they just light up when they get their book, they open it up and they smell the pages, and it's life transforming. And I just can't tell you enough, aside from the fact that I use "and" a lot, but it's just really one of those things that it's such a cathartic experience, and I've seen lives change because people step into the power of their own story.
Okay, so I have a question. I have a story in me, but I haven't the foggiest idea, and I'm sure I could come to you with notes and things and odds and sods and life experiences. So I would call that probably the hell of me showing up in your office and going, here, how do you turn that hell into a heaven for your clients?
From hell to heaven? I love those situations because when patients have come to me in the past, they're living their own hell, right? And if you can offer them the warm blanket, that's a piece of heaven for them, right? So analogy is, Jennifer, Givlin, what do you want your story to do with the world?
Okay.
What do you want? What is your vision for how you want your story to inspire? What trajectory do you see this book having for others? What problem do you want to solve for other people. Because everyone has a unique experience, and your unique experience, whatever your piece of paper looks like, is going to have and be relatable to someone else, right? And I know Victoria and I have walked two very similar relationship experiences. Right?
I have not.
But she's got her own perspective being a 20-something, and I've got my own perspective being a early 50-something. Not to age myself, however, and it's really about who you find relatable and what that person can help you solve. And so we do a deep dive into the strategy behind your story and your vision and how you want this to be. Right now, we are doing a compilation called Echoes of Wisdom. And it's really like what I know now, right? And I'm doing it with Susan DeGusti. And it's going to be really cool because everybody's going to be writing in this book, but they all have their own little lines of wisdom that we're, writing about. And therefore, there's going to be relatable stories in that. And when you write something like that, it really does teach you how to dive into your story without it being a 25,000 word book, and also having the huge investment. So starting small and in a community is great. And I always say, instead of taking a writing course, do something like a compilation, work with other people, step into your story, and learn how to write it, work with an editor, and receive that really awesome critique, because you become a better writer because of something like that. You can take all the writing courses in the world, but until you actually share and publish, it's not effective. And at the end of it, you have a book and a community that you've been a part of as well. So that's the power of the compilation book. And then you can use that as a segue into seeing if you want to spend the money to do your own solo book. And that's really the navigation, story navigator, author navigator, really behind the journey of publishing.
That's awesome.
That is very cool. Yeah. So I love how it's coming along with, I feel like there's a lot of involvement too on like self-worth and self-doubt. Like, who cares? Like, why would you want to listen to what happened to me? Like, what, how do you kind of handle things like that? Because I feel like as women, we have that problem in general. Like, why would someone want to listen,
Every woman is on their own journey. Every man is on their own journey, for that matter. And every story that I have ever published, the common outtake is, I learned to love myself enough to know that I was worthy for more. Therefore, I changed my story. I changed the circumstances in my life. I chose differently. I chose a different group of friends. I chose a different job. I took a moment of courage and I stepped into moving to a different city. All of these things are someone else's last hope line. And for an example, there was a lady that wrote in the first book, Obstacles Equal Opportunity, way back in 2017. And my philosophy was that this book was a success if it changed one life. Her story was about taking off the mask of who she really was. She was a hairdresser, so she lived in a life of vanity. Then when she couldn't use her hands anymore, she lost her career. And so she put on this mask of everything's fine, but she was, dying inside because she lost a career that meant something to her. And with that, one lady posted and said, "This is my first selfie I've ever done, and I'm inspired by this woman because she told me to take off my own mask." And this woman basically reached out and said, "Thank you for showing us that we can take off our masks and be accepted for who we are." Now, going back 7 years, that was a big move because all of the self-love talk, it was just only starting to come in. The world has changed in the power of story, the woman's self-worth, and all of these women that live up unapologetically, and men. Men are starting to step into this too. We're coming back together as a human connection point. And when you can step into that space and really offer that to someone, that could be their saving, that's their hope moment. That's their faith moment. That's like, hey, somebody went through something before me and they changed, so I'm going to change too. It's like losing weight, right? You got to do something a little different. You got to put something else, you got to put different food as a choice into your body to fuel it. And And then the change starts to happen. And it's the same thing in anything. By reading something different, you start to go, huh, okay, it's 10 pages in a book, but it's not a big self-help book. But it's real raw stories, and that's what the world is craving today.
And Heather, if we wanted to find out more, because I'm sure we've all got a great big story in us, where would we find more details for you?
Perfect. Heather Andrews, I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, but also I have my website, www.getyouVisible.com. Go there. Everything that we've ever done is on that site. And then we also just launched our academy about a year ago called Empire Authors Academy, and you can go there, empireauthorsacademy.com.
Well, thank you so much again for coming and joining us and giving us some inspiration about our story and telling it, and for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. Next episode, we have Marlow Marshall from Marlow Design, and he will be telling us all about wearing your special moments.
Oh boy, this is going to be fun.
Thanks for tuning in for another episode of The Local Connection, reminding you that success is just a strategy away. Stay tuned for more actionable insights on The Local Connection. Until next time, thrive in your marketing endeavors.